You're tuned into Soul Fusion Cafe, your place for radiant wellness and soul-forward living. Join your host, Jess Juntunen, quantum healer, intuitive, and midwife to the awakening spirit, as we dive into quantum tools, wisdom teachings, and integrated healing pathways for transformation. You can live a life of freedom to be without limitation. And soul-forward living. Grab your tea and enjoy this hour. Join your host, Jess Juntunen, quantum healer, intuitive, and midwife to the awakening spirit, as we dive into quantum tools.
Namaste and welcome. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here. I am Jess Juntunen, your host here at Soul Fusion Cafe. So I am just checking out if we are indeed streaming live, and it looks like that is the case over at Facebook at onenesstalkradio.com and also over at YouTube at Oneness Talk Radio Live. And hello, I am seeing people popping in and saying hi. It is wonderful to be here with you all right now. So I am broadcasting a little different this week, and let's see how this goes. I believe that we are here and ready for Soul Fusion Cafe Live. Last week we did our trial run, and it was amazing. And also my video stopped. So this week we're holding good energy around the video being really clear and running. But the most important thing is that we're here and we can hear each other, because you may be listening to the audio of this at onenesstalkradio.com, or you may be tuning into the live broadcast, either at Facebook at Oneness Talk Radio or YouTube Oneness Talk Radio. And again, it is really, truly an honor and a pleasure to be here with you right now. And today is a big day. We are live and we are talking about the freedom to be, how to break free from all limitation, right? So I'm Jess Juntunen. If you have never seen me before, I am a host at Oneness Talk Radio. My show is Soul Fusion Cafe. That's what you're tuned into right now. And we are exploring topics in radiant wellness and soul forward living here every week. And every week we are inviting in sharings or questions. So please do email at selfascensionstudios.com. It's Jess at selfascensionstudios.com. You can email me there, and any of your questions, any of your sharings, any of your celebrations, I can try to catch chat, but it's a little bit more difficult to do in this current setup for me to see you chatting in live time. But please feel free to pop things in there and I will check as I can, or check later and get back to you next week, because we always have time for sharing and support. And I love hearing from you guys. So this is a big month. Last week we talked a bit about September energies, and we're going to expand on that this week as well, because it's profound. The energies right now are really profound. And myself, I get this information in a few ways. I definitely love and adore my own mentors and teachers, Master Lady Kira Ra and wisdom teacher Sri Ram Ka. And they teach the yoga of self-ascension. And I am also a teacher of that yoga, as well as a practitioner for a long time on this path. So their information is always so timely and amazing. So if anything I ever share here resonates, do check them out. And they have their programs running. There's both Soul Mirrors, which I am a monthly co-host on with Master Lady Kira Ra, as well as Sundays is the Voice of Passionate Action with Shri and Kira every Sunday. And you can find those at YouTube at Shri and Kira official YouTube, or at Oneness Talk Radio and Oneness Talk Radio YouTube and Facebook and all those good places. So really amazing. So I usually am tracking with what they're sharing, because what they're sharing is so pure and so blows anything else out of the water. But it also goes with a lot of my own intuitive knowings and channelings and understandings about the energy of the time. So if you're wondering, where I come up with this, it's a collaborative effort between my own guidance and a lot of what I the only people I really do follow are Shri and Kira's monthly energy reports and things like that, because they are providing things that come from the purity of the archangelic realm and beyond, that really resonate and make sense in a way that transcends, not that the other people aren't good or anything, but it just transcends a lot of the worldly perspective and brings it into an ascended perspective. So today we are talking about breaking free, and the September energies are asking us to do just that. It really is this profound, amazing time where we are being asked to step forward into the truth of our being, to say yes to who we truly are, to champion ourselves as the real you that you were always meant to be. We often differentiate ourselves. It's because our brain wants to categorize things, and the self that we have thought of for so long is usually really connected to that ego sense of self, our personality, what we see when we look in the mirror, the sense of who we are in this world and what makes sense to us. That's just an aspect of us, though, right? We have whatever you want to call it, the authentic self, the higher self, the true self, divine self. But that is who we really are. That is the you I'm talking to, is the true version of you. And this body and form and mind and personality are all kind of suspended within that radiant presence we are. Yet at the same time, so many of us are walking around, blindfolded. We have a veil on and we don't really see our true nature. If you're tuning into this now, likely you do have some scoop on that, because otherwise you probably wouldn't be tuning in, or you'd turn this off by now, because you have an understanding that you have a nature that's greater and larger, right? So we're learning how to bring that forward, dial that up and source our energy and our inspiration from the truth of who we are, versus sourcing our inspiration from the constructed self, the ego self. The ego is beautiful. It serves us. I always make sure I tell people this when I'm teaching workshops or clients or here on the show, that there's the benefit of having an ego. I mean, we need it to live here on planet Earth. This is the three-dimensional realm. We're here walking around in a body. We're here able to interact with this world. Yet that's the ego's job, is to keep us safe. Yet it's not really the whole thing, right? But it has gotten this idea that it is the end all be all. Over thousands of years, thousands and thousands, the ego has been in this stronghold saying, I'm what's real, I see what's real, and you need to be afraid of anything that's going to be a danger to me. The ego, right? The ego's like, I could die if your true self came forward. The ego's going, I could die, you could die. So it's always trying to keep us safe. It's what keeps us from walking out into traffic and just getting hit by a truck. It says, hey, that's dangerous. So it's always giving us this feedback, but it can only look behind us. It can only look past tense. So therefore its perspective is very limited. It's going, hey, you got hurt one time, you might get hurt again, so don't do that. And when it comes to the soul leading, the ego has a complete fit. It is just going, no, 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 tantrums. So anytime we're in an up level moment and we're feeling ourselves and our soul coming forward and we're saying, yeah, I'm here. It's time. I'm going to fly. And then what happens? Oh my gosh, the ego comes in with every reason not to do that. Maybe it's an inspiration for a new job or a relationship or something that you're just interested in pursuing, and you're so excited and this is it. And then the ego comes in and starts questioning, are you sure? Maybe, here's some good reasons why maybe you shouldn't do that right now. Maybe you should put it off. And it will really do it when our soul is coming forward in a big way, because the ego is just saying, oh my God, like I might die. You might die. Let's not do this. And the ego doesn't want to give up control. It likes to be in control and has had that for the majority of our lifetime, but also this is generations and generations and cultural, we've been worshiping the ego. But it doesn't need to drive our bus, right? It needs to get in the back seat. I like to imagine this. If your ego's really flaring up, it's like, imagine that you're just putting them into the back seat, giving them a juice box, giving them something to watch or play with, and then you are driving. The soul you, the real you, is driving the bus and making the decisions, not the ego, which is so connected to the inner child, right? You're not going to hand the car keys over to the child to drive you. No, you want to be in that driver's seat. So discernment of which part of us is driving. Is it our soul truth? Is it the freedom of who we are without the limitations, the fears holding us back? Or is fear in the driver's seat? Is it saying, don't know, pump the brakes? Maybe you had this desire to go back to school, say, and you knew it, like you felt that this was the right choice for you, but all of a sudden, you're enrolling and you're in school and everything starts freaking out. When I started my master's degree, this was the case for me. I had a knowing, and at the time I wasn't as attuned to understand the difference between my soul voice and ego voice. I was very intuitive and pretty awake, but I wasn't even at the level of discernment to say what was exactly happening. But I knew I needed to go for that master's degree, and I knew it in my heart. But as the date got closer, I was accepted. It was a celebration. Yay. As the date got closer, boy, did I freak out. Freak the F out. Whoa. I mean, I had to not only learn to be a graduate student with two young children at home, like I think the oldest was going into kindergarten, the other's in daycare, and I'm going to go and get a master's degree, and had no idea how challenging that would be, but I already had some idea how hard it would be. And, uh, and if I would have known how hard it would be, I would have ran the other way, right? This is just my example, one example of this scenario going down. So the date gets closer. Not only do I have to be a student, I have to be a teacher as well. And I don't have to, but if I want my schooling paid for and to get a stipend and make a little bit of money, I'm going to be a teacher, and I'm going to be teaching communication to a bunch of college freshmen and sophomores. So that part had me probably more paralyzed with fear than even the schooling itself, because speech, talking in front of people, all of that used to absolutely terrify me. And, you know, of course, I can recognize gifts after, like, that really got me to hone my teaching skills. I had to be a teacher to students at an engineering school that were extremely resistant to, why do we need to know how to write? Why do we need to know this? So you're teaching a resistant audience that doesn't even really want to be there, and their other classes are more important to them. And it's like, 95% of your class is male. It's like this whole pressure cooker was building up. So, right, my soul knew I wanted to go do that experience. And of course, fast forward nearly 10 years, and that was absolutely the best choice I could have made at that time. I'm so grateful. And, I got a master's degree. I learned how to refine my teaching. I learned how to stop being so afraid. I learned so much through the program, and it has affected my life in so many different ways, right? So thank goodness I did it. So one, if we knew what we were saying yes to, sometimes we wouldn't do it at all. The ego would say, oh my God, no, So in this example, yeah, my ego would have said no, because who would have known I would have been crying face down on my floor night after night for the first couple months and not even sure if I should have ever done this whole thing. If I would have known all that in advance, I would have definitely said no. So when we say yes, we're on an as need to know basis. Our soul says, yes, we're going to have to walk through some challenges after we say yes to something that we want. We're going to have challenges no matter what. But I mean, I'd prefer the challenges of saying yes consciously to something our soul wants. And when we say yes to that, right, the ego also is going to come up and give you every reason to not. Like, and this is when you knew your soul was guiding you to do something. Like in my example, to go to school, my ego was just like, how are you going to teach? Who are you to do this? Blah, 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 blah. And it really put me through the ringer at that time. So that's why that one pops forward for me. But there's a lot of other things I've said yes to that the same thing happened with. And I'm sure you have your examples too. It doesn't have to be going back to school. It could be so many different things that you could be going, my soul said yes, but then the ego came in and started putting doubt in my mind. So it's always going to do that. And when we want to break free of limitations, when we want the freedom to be and express as ourselves, you better believe it. The ego is going to come up and is going to say, nope, don't do it. Don't do it. Here's 10 million reasons not to, even though your soul said yes. So that's that moment of mastery that comes forward. And here's a key in September: mastery presence. We are inviting our mastery presence forward. So there are probably things that you are saying yes to that maybe you didn't even know until this moment were in front of you. Decisions, options, possibilities. Or maybe it's something you had on the back burner for a long time, something that you've been dreaming of, but you are ready to put into motion. Maybe it's just an aspect of your life that you're deepening into in your journey, but your mastery is here, and September is really like turning up the heat. September is saying, oh my gosh, like, should we get off the pot? Really, it's like, let's do this or not. But it's extremely uncomfortable to sit on a fence, is it not? Have you ever just tried to like sit on a fence for a while? If you haven't, go try it. It's not very comfortable. And you're going to want to get off the fence. Which side of the fence are you jumping onto? Are you going to go, into the safe path? It might be comfortable even to just pick what has always been present in front of you as an option. Or, is it the path that just says, oh, I'm afraid to grow and I'm going to stay over here? Then that's fine. Then you choose that. Sitting on the fence is what's so uncomfortable. In September, saying jump off, So either go deep into density where, you can take that nap and go back to sleep and just do your thing in density, and it's perfect. There's no wrong. I have done that before. I don't consciously want to do that anymore. I tried it and it's hard. It's not like you're taking a break from your spirituality. And that's that kind of, are you tired or inspired energy that has been running, in 2020 big time. Are you tired or inspired? And that's that fence too. Which side are you jumping on? But density will just make you more tired. Sometimes we think we're going to take a break. Our spiritual work is taking a lot of effort or work, or we're hitting a wall and we're just going to take a break in density, just check out. And that's a perfect choice, but just make the choice of what you're going to do, and do it well. And density will give you that opportunity to come back around the spiral and re-engage certain lessons and things that your soul knows helps it expand. And you'll have that moment to say yes again and pop out of density again. And it gets more fun the more conscious we are of these choices. And we start to realize, okay, I don't really want the density experience maybe anymore of awakening. It's kind of rough, it can be fun, but let's face it, it's pretty challenging. Or am I going to jump on the other side of the fence and say, my multidimensional presence is here. I am ready to fly free. I am ready to be the truth of who I am, and yeah, there might be, once you jump off that fence and say, yes, 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 that ego is going to come up. And September is really, uh, it's always going to carry the energy of the balance, because we have the equinox in September, which is that balance point where light and dark, literally on the planet, are at an equal length on that actual day. And we're moving closer to that now. So there's a balancing energy that naturally comes in with September energies. And around the equinox is when we move into Libra right now, right? We're in Virgo, if we're looking at like traditional Western astrology. And there's that earth mother energy. And then when we move to Libra is all about the balance again too. So just those are some things just to think about in the back of your head with September. And there's a harmony and a balance that wants to come in. And there is the energy of light and dark playing out, especially this September 2020. Every September is going to carry some of that energy, but this September is huge. And, this is something Shri and Kira were sharing about September, is to, if you tune in with them, remember this, or if you don't and you're hearing this for the first time, but September is like a whole year of experience. It feels like a year. So we are on September 8th, and we've already been through, it's like every day is like 12 days. So it's like we've been through 90 days right now of a year's worth of material. So if every day to you is feeling like quite the adventure, it's like you're going through 12 days a day. And in all of September, it's like a year's journey. So noticing what's being reflected to you every day you're in mastery experience. Like, what are you mastering today? Whatever you're working on, if you're bringing your consciousness to it, it's going to have a huge effect. It's going to amplify by more than the mind could comprehend. It's going to go out into the universe in so many ways and come back to us in so many ways that it defies logic. But this is what's happening, is that every day is like this big journey, and this, by the end of the month, you're going to go, whoa, what was going on at the beginning of the month? So it becomes much more fun to be conscious. If we want to really be who we are, that freedom is calling us now, and the energy is supporting us. And it's a big awareness month. Awareness is the energy of September, and noticing. And that's your biggest call to mastery, is when you notice that maybe the ego was stuck and you were in a loop. Well, that's awareness. The discernment comes in and says, oh my gosh, I was stuck. Time for me to lift. Time for me to rise and shine, right? And yes. Oh, hello. I'm just popping in and looking if there's any messages. Hello, beautifuls. And, it's really, really a powerful moment that we're being invited to say, hey, what's light? What is light in me? How does freedom look for me? And how does it feel when I'm not in that energy? And just feeling the balance that's wanting to come forward in your life, because this awareness that says, okay, where am I at? Where's my energy at? Is giving us that opportunity to step into mastery. In the yoga of self-ascension, to release judgment is one of the 4 steps on that path of self-ascension, and they can go in any order. It doesn't, but sometimes you're in that phase where like there's a lot of judgment showing up, and that's happening big time in September as this light and dark energies rise, and there's a lot of judgment. So discernment and awareness, where's my energy playing out? But to really be uh, aware and discerning without the judgment. If you noticed you got stuck in a spiral, you got yourself pulled down, maybe it was some kind of drama going on at work or in your family, maybe you looked at the media, maybe you just walked outside and got bombarded, and you forgot for a moment who you really are. You forgot, maybe you just went into that autopilot, because density is very hypnotic. It's easy to do. So in that moment, when you notice it's happened, that's when we can pop back into our multidimensional presence. That's when we can pop into fifth dimensional compassion, and it's a mastery moment. This world that and this life that we walk in is very much our initiation. And while we are being initiated, it's not like when we think about tales of old and texts and things where these yogis or masters, they went to these temples and did all of these tests in order to, prove their mastery. We don't go to the temples now to do that. The temple is here, and we are doing those tests in our everyday life. It's when you walk out the door and go to work, and you're in your car driving and traffic's annoying you. And that's the initiation, right? In this current time frame, and where we are now is your day-to-day life is giving you the challenges and the moments to pop or drop, to say yes to your mastery presence and the truth of who you are, or to drop and spiral down deeper into density. And they both offer their gifts. And the moment we use our discernment and just say, oh, I was stuck there, we immediately invite the lift back up into our multidimensional presence. We immediately come back into that sacred space of saying, okay, here I am. I'm able to remember myself. And then we can start, hand to heart, taking some breaths, doing what we need to do to connect. Maybe we need to reach out for support. We all do need that sometimes. That's the beauty of Oneness Talk Radio, and all of the shows that are hosted at Oneness Talk Radio. There's so many beautiful hosts and opportunities. There's a place you can always go to connect with inspired messages and wisdom, and there's support available. Maybe it's community that you build or friends that you have. Maybe it's plant allies or animal allies. Think about all of the ways that you cultivate your support circle around you, and that you reach for that when you have the moments, if you feel like it's sticky or you're stuck, that we reach out a hand and say, hey, help me remember. We're here to help each other remember ourselves. As each one of us remembers ourselves more fully, we are opening that portal for others to do the same, and it's this beautiful moment. And I'm just like loving looking at the beautiful comments over at YouTube and Facebook. It's so, so beautiful to be with you all. Thank you for tuning in. And in this moment more than ever, this community matters, that we are here and saying yes to one another, that we grab each other by the hand and say, I'm doing this, you can do this too. And as Archangel Zadkiel shares, when we open the portal of that self-ascended presence, when we stand in the truth of who we are, we're holding open this portal for 100,000 others to do the same. That's like you're standing in the middle of this big stadium with 100,000 seats, and they're all full of people as you stand in your radiant presence. And each of them are able to stand up in their own stadium with 100,000 more. And it goes on and on and on. So September wants to, invite us into that stadium moment, or we're going to go dive deep into the density experience. And there's plenty of people to play with there, and there's plenty of energy gathering around that experience. And it's really that pop or drop. Which one are you doing? So deciding consciously every day that, hey, where do I want my energy to be? How do I see that? And to remember that, again, this is a mastery awareness month. September is bringing us this complete opportunity to really master our consciousness. Are we in that spiritual fatigue? If that's happening, maybe you're feeling tired or spent, or it's so hard. Uh, I can empathize completely with feeling that way and being there. But yeah, that's the moment that we're in that's saying, are we going to just give up? Because everything is getting thrown at you to get you to give up by density right now. Everything is being thrown at you. And as you ascend and lift, there's often going to be everything that could try to stop us is gonna come our way. So are we feeling that tired? Or are we feeling the inspired? Are we feeling rising consciousness coming forward? And we have to say yes to that ascended consciousness to navigate this month. We want to be in that yes to my rising consciousness, yes to my multidimensional presence. Yes, remember who you are. September is asking you to remember who you are. And that's the truth of our being, and this show being about that freedom to be and to release all limitation. That's like a piece where sometimes we do need some support if we just keep coming up against patterns that limit us. Maybe it's physical health issues, chronic health issues, maybe it's a mental, emotional piece. It can show up in so many different ways. Maybe it's repetitive patterns in relationships. And those limitations, sometimes we need to bring in, we always need to bring in the light of consciousness to them. The awareness is the key that helps us to start the lift. It helps us to start understanding that, oh, I'm here, and it starts to bring us up out of that sticky place. But yeah, sometimes we need to apply other tools and things. That's when maybe EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping is really beneficial. Maybe that's when getting some coaching or counseling or mentoring is beneficial. It's maybe when you reach out to a friend that understands you and that helps you to lift versus a partner in pain that will, seek to keep you in the cycle. That's when you start bringing in those support tools. Maybe you need body care, acupuncture. I don't know. You ask yourself, what do I need to help me move through something? But limitations and blocks are the ego's way of stopping us, because it's saying, I'm scared about the lift. I'm scared I'll die. If she remembers herself fully, I might have to go back in my box and I won't even be here anymore. And it does learn to soften, as we ascend and anchor in our greater authenticity and the truth of who we are. It actually does soften. It starts to trust, oh, she's got this, right? And it gets more perspective because it sees that it's okay and it didn't die and things are going well, and it can serve us and alert us when we need to be alerted, but it's more of our servant versus driving the bus and taking us for its ride. And this is the knowing of who you are is really the gateway to your freedom. And it's what September is asking us for, to really know the truth of who you are. So if you were to just sit for this moment and bring a hand to heart and connect. And you just breathe and connect with your heart. You start to feel that essence of your true nature. You start to get that connection, and the body gets the signal that, oh, she's listening. That hand to heart just signals the parasympathetic nervous system to quiet down. Things start to relax and the body knows we're listening. And if there's a physical issue or pain, we can bring our hand to our heart and our awareness to that part of the body and let it know, I'm listening, I'm here. What are you trying to tell me or show me? And the body can say, oh my gosh, she's listening. I can stop talking so loud. If something wants our attention, it comes through the body. Finally, if we're not listening to it on other levels. It's easy for us to ignore feelings or sensations when they're not in the body. We can just pack away that quiet voice. Our ego voice will be much louder. The mind will take control, and we'll just keep going until, if it's something that we haven't listened to and we need to, it will manifest in our body in some way. It might be a cold, it might be a pain, it might be an illness, dis-ease. And that's when it has our attention. So bringing the awareness and consciousness and our knowing to it is the first step to start to bring resolution to that area. Consciousness heals. And I've seen remarkable things in the time that I've been working with people over the past, almost 7 years, seeing remarkable things happen through that gift of consciousness to the body and the mind and emotions and patterns in the world and our experience. When we bring that loving light of consciousness to it, miracles happen fast. And that's another thing that's happening more and more rapidly. We are manifesting so fast. So wherever you align your energy is going to be what you create and call in powerfully. So if there's something you're not enjoying in your experience, it's like, how can I be transparent with myself and really notice, oh, where did this come from? Where on earth is this pattern arising within me that this is happening? I've made this choice somehow. I've called these experiences in. And, that can be a hard thing to swallow at first on the spiritual journey, is that we've created all of our experiences. I'm so masterful. I called in a couple partners and husbands, and all of those disintegrated, but they all taught me what I needed to learn. I was so powerful. I called in some very powerful experiences, as I'm sure you have had those kinds of experiences too, whether it's partnership or other relationships or things in your life that you called that in to awaken your greater mastery and remembrance. And that's part of the rub on this planet, is that we have to go through, and sometimes the friction, not sometimes, everyone's going to go through friction in order to awaken. And it's like that beautiful analogy of the lotus, that when we rub the lotus seed, it cracks open and the lotus blooms up and out. But the seed must have friction in order to crack and pop, for that sprout to come out. So it's very much like our own selves, that we need to have some friction or grit, right? If you think about, if you've been on this path of awakening, if you think about when you were awakening, probably, right, something was going on that didn't feel good in your experience in order to crack that open. And probably, through that, you know that it came through the muck and the mud, like where the lotus grows from, that we bloom and come into the truth of who we are. And then throughout our journey, we do this again and again in different ways, and realize that there's always more layers. As long as we're a human walking in form, there's always more layers, and it becomes more and more fun and beautiful after we've done it those initial time or two, where it really feels like we're going, are we falling apart? Are we breaking down? Or are we breaking through? There's a lot of those moments coming forward, though, for many people. So, if you've already been walking and doing this dance for a while, it may be that re-up time where it's like, I'm going to be here to help others who are searching, the brothers and sisters who don't have this perspective yet, that are searching. How is your authentic self showing up for them? And this doesn't mean that we have to stand on a pedestal. It doesn't mean you have to have a radio show. It doesn't mean you have to be a teacher. It doesn't mean you have to be a healer, but everyone's a healer and a teacher and a host in their way, right? Just how is it your way? It doesn't mean you have to have this official label or anything. It's in your way. Maybe it's just serving in your home and creating a beautiful home and environment for your family. That's like the most powerful thing that we can do, and it extends out from us. Maybe it's at your job or workplace. You are carrying a position that you're able to be in the truth of your being, and others just feel the gift of that from being around you, and your interactions with them are going to be more from that consciousness enlightened place versus the density reactive place, and you'll be serving, so there's so many ways. We all have our unique gifts, we all have our unique way of expressing. You don't have to be doing any particular thing other than just being the truth and radiance of who you are. And this focus this month of your mastery is that invitation that says, hey, tapping on your shoulder saying, hey, is it time now? Isn't it about time that you just be who you really are? Not worrying about being the weirdo or being wrong or not doing it right, because we're all aspects of the divine, right? When you hold up a beautiful, brilliant crystal to the light, and you hold it to the light and allow the light to come through, it refracts into these beautiful rainbows, right? And you just see all the beautiful colors that refract through that prism. Well, that's like what has happened with us. You're a refraction of that light of divine source that came through the crystal and made all these beautiful refractions, and they went through more crystals and made more refractions. So we're all this beautiful blend and refractions of the divine source, and we're moving back towards that source. We've gone as far as we can in density, the experiment of density, to learn what our souls need to grow in density. We have done it all. We've done it all, probably in this lifetime and many other lifetimes. We have done it all, and we have learned for the expansion of light everything we need to know in density. Yet we can still be here, but be awake to our ascended self and bring that into form and create heaven on earth. And that I know is part of my personal mission. When I think into what am I here for, everything I create and do is not who I am or what I'm here for. What I'm here for is to bring love to the world. I know it is that simple, but that powerful, that to bring the energy of love to everything I touch and do. So anything I create, content I create, teaching, whatever, it all is serving that essence of divine love. What's your mission? What do you feel passionate about bringing to this world? Who are you? And what do you want to see happen on this beautiful world of form? Because you are the master, you are the divine in form. It's time to remember it. Like, how often do we go on forgetting that we're the divine in form? And we are moving back, calling back all the refractions, calling back the wounded pieces into wholeness, calling back pieces of ourselves that we left here or there. We are coming back into a wholeness. And it's not really like putting a puzzle together. It's just like opening up the lens and seeing the big, beautiful picture that is you, that is this beautiful life, that is the soul self beyond everything we're seeing here. And that's what we really are being invited to step into. Sourcing the soul, having the soul presence come forward. That's the freedom. And from there, we are inspired. Maybe you get inspired to paint your room a new color. Maybe you get inspired to make a phone call. Maybe you're inspired to bring a dream forward. Maybe you're inspired to write that book, whatever it is, but it comes through the source self. It feels more effortless and joyful. It's expansive. If you're not feeling that and you're feeling like you're trying to make decisions, but your mind is overly involved, if it feels like a contraction energy, if it feels like there's any kind of fear or judgments involved, like you should be doing this because, then you really want to check back with yourself and get really clear and come back to your heart, right? And come back to that soul knowing and ask your question again and see with that greater clarity. And in September, to really do that, to claim the I am presence, that I am divine, I am crystalline light. That is just like the heartbeat of this month. And we are being invited to hang out and stay anchored in the fifth and seventh dimension and open that beautiful chalice of the ninth dimensional experience. I mean, those of you that are part of Women Wellness Awakenings are familiar with this, or if you've tuned in with Sri and Kira, we've been talking about this beautiful chalice of energy that's opening and coming in, the divine feminine that has been building. I mean, really since last September, but we just keep getting these up levels, up levels. That energy is here, and it's expanding, and density is freaking out. The unbalanced masculine, the unbalanced feminine, they're all freaking out, trying to maintain the status quo, but this divine feminine energy is here, whether people believe it or not. It's flowing in, and it's like that beautiful chalice of the ninth dimension, crystalline energy coming in. And think about how, the expression of the feminine on earth through women, that there's that chalice of the womb that that the creation is birthed through, that's where creation, the ultimate creation of life happens, right? And is nourished and loved and supported. And through that birthing process, we bring life into the world. Well, very much we're in that crystalline womb of the ninth dimension, this energy coming in, this chalice of saying, whoa, who am I? What is being created here? What am I being invited to remember? And in that space, everything becomes easy. What you need for your mission is supplied to you from the universe. You're the universe. You'll get it from your own self. But if it doesn't look like that right now, then, it means there's some things that you're ready to bust out of and break free from and say yes to you. And that's a celebration too. There's always this moment, and we really want to connect with our joy. How do we really get there to our authenticity? To be in joy. That's probably the meat and potatoes of this whole hour, is that our authenticity is our joy, and the joy portal. We opened this on the full moon with WWA Global. And if you don't know about WWA Global, you can still join. It's this beautiful journey that we took, but is now a profound home study, as well as ongoing opportunities for support and mentoring. And we come together and create these powerful experiences. So it's really beyond even mentoring, because on that full moon, we opened this joy portal and this chalice, and in order to support all of humanity, all those that are seeking to find their joy and their lift are able to more easily, because of the work we're coming together and doing. So those of you in WWA Global, I bow before you, because what we're doing defies my mind and yours. We are doing massive work for this planet. And those of you that aren't in WWA Global, check it out. Come and join us, wwaglobal.com. It's myself, Sri Ramka, Kira Ra, and a whole beautiful community. And so much is happening. This is an initiative. It's global. It is ongoing. And we would love you to be part of it. And whatever you're doing, however you're contributing to this consciousness levolution that we're in, your gifts, what are you creating? Tune in, tap in, get turned on to the truth that is within. Light yourself up, follow your joy, because when you do, you're opening that portal for others to do the same. So your presence matters. What you do absolutely matters. Do not get seduced by density and what's going on there. If you do, take that opportunity to say thank you for the lesson. I'm popping back out. But it's strong. It's strong, and it's there, And I know so many of you are feeling it too. And it is really this moment. I'm just looking at some quick questions before we wrap up. Mona, I'm in and out from density and multidimensional presence. The more I try to lift, I end up cleaning up more doubt, fear, and judgment. I feel the seesaw. How do I stabilize in my connection more? That is such a beautiful question. As you are popping in and out, just noticing, sometimes that in out is like what I'm feeling for you too. It's like the wobble. And that wobble will propel you up and out. Keep doing what you're doing and get into the heart. Um, it's that ego is still strong. If the doubt and judgment is still strong, that is that moment you say, no, I'm not going to hang out there. I'm going to lift. I'm going to be the truth of who I am. It's making the decision over and over again and really coming to our heart. And there could really definitely be stuff going on. Like I feel like third chakra, and I feel like this for a lot of people, one hand on heart, one hand on the third chakra, breathing, sending love and presence to that third chakra, and letting yourself just kind of like breathe through and pop it open. Pop it open. And it's okay. This is really normal. But yeah, there may be things that you just need to resolve. Notice and follow where the doubts and judgments come from, and bring in love and compassion to whatever part of you is talking. Might be the inner child, might be a part of the body. And really notice that and keep going. And please feel free to reach out for a discovery session at selfascensionstudios.com if that feels like it might help support you. And Jamie says, thank you for your support. Your message of in and out of density is indeed quite challenging. Meditation and non-judgment replaced by compassion is life-changing. Your message resonates in my heart, mind, not my mind. Beautiful. Yeah, and it is really challenging, right, guys? It's just how it is. And just popping over on YouTube too. So excited. Yes. So happy I'm in live time too, Pauline. Thank you for being here, and Purple Sparkle Felicity and Gamby and Jill. It's just so fun. So I just had to pop over and see what was popping in there. And thank you for questions and comments, because that makes this so fun when we can interact here live. Another benefit to being live. So if you're catching this in the archives, every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, I'm here at Soul Fusion Cafe, Jess Juntunen, and you can check it out at YouTube, at Facebook. Both of those, just look up Oneness Talk Radio, or at onenesstalkradio.com every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific, or it's noon. It's your lunchtime if you're Eastern like me, which I really enjoy this lunchtime hour. So yeah, profound shift. And I know just by some of the questions in chat there that we're feeling it, and we're really being asked to jump out of this unknown and into what our soul knows is true. And the more the wobble and the more you're feeling the pull in and out, the more expansive and crazy amazing your pop is when it comes. And keep saying yes, more please, when you feel the pop, when you feel yourself lifted. Yes, thank you, more please. Gratitude when you're in the density that dissolves the judgment. Thank you helps pull you out of the wobble and back into the truth. It is powerful. And just remember, you're receiving a lot of gifts. Every day is this huge journey of like 12 days. The whole month is like a year. Mercy on yourself, love yourself. You really are here and able to be the truth of your being without any restrictions. This is your time to do it. And yeah, there's energies seeking to stop that. There's energies that want you to not proceed, not stay the course. But, it's game on. It's game on, right? And what are you saying yes to? What is it that you really feel in your own heart of hearts is what is the yes for you? What is the yes for you? So today it has been fantastic, and I'm looking at the time. I cannot even believe that we are coming closer to the end of our time together. And as we draw to a close, I just want to invite you all to bring your hand to your heart, to take in a beautiful breath and just connect with the truth of who you are. This is the truth of who you are. It starts right here. And it is beyond anything that the mind's going to comprehend. It's right here at our beautiful heart center. I am light. I am a divine being having a human experience. I love myself and I have mercy on myself. Thank you so much for being here. Check out selfascensionstudios.com to learn more about me and what I do. Check out wwaglobal.com to learn more about Women Wellness Awakenings, and that's also over at my website. Follow along on social media, do all the fun things, and stay here tuned in. I will see you next Tuesday. Many blessings to you all.
You've been listening to Soul Fusion Cafe with Jess Juntunen. Connect with Jess and learn more at her inspiration hub, selfascensionstudios.com, and over on Instagram at JoyLoveJess and Soul Fusion Cafe Radio, or over at Facebook at Self Ascension Studios and Soul Fusion Cafe Radio. Thank you for listening. See you next week. Namaste and many blessings.